Well, hello and welcome to our thought for the week this week. And this week I want to take you into Luke chapter 10 to think about that time when Jesus arrived at the house of Martha and Mary. I'm sure it's a story that you're all quite familiar with, where Jesus goes into the house and Martha's rushing about getting everything ready, and Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet just listening to what he has to say. And of course, after a while, Martha gets quite frustrated that Mary's just sitting there and she feels like she's doing all the work and trying to get everything ready for all these people who have arrived at her house. And she goes to Jesus and she says, Jesus, can you not tell her to come and help me? That she should be doing more, that she should be helping to serve these people. But Jesus turns to her and says, Martha, Martha, you worry and you're upset about so many things. But there's so few things that are actually important. In fact, there's really only one. As the New Living Translation puts it, there is only one thing worth being concerned about. And what I want to ask you this morning is, are you a Mary or are you a Martha? And I'm going to confess this morning that I am definitely a Martha. I am one of those people who just runs around and likes to be busy all the time. You'll hear people that are close to me say, oh, she wouldn't see in her way, She likes to do things herself. And that is the way that I am. I do like to be busy. And even in this period of lockdown, it's amazing how many things you still find to be busy with. And all those little jobs that you thought you might get done, suddenly you still have too many other things that you're busy doing to get done. But of course, what is Jesus trying to say in this passage to Martha? And what is he trying to say to us Marthas who are around today? We need to actually think about what is important and what is worth being busy for. And in fact, what is worth just sometimes taking a rest and enjoying the presence of God and the presence of Jesus, as Mary was doing in this passage. And it's a story that always speaks to me, and I always think to myself, I really need to try to be more of a Mary than a Martha. And in this period of Lent, it's a time as well to reflect, isn't it? And to think about our relationship with God and how we're using that time to the best that we can. As Bob was drawn to our attention last week in the Thought for the Week, and indeed in the Sunday service, we were thinking about that time that Jesus spent in the wilderness and how we can remember that in this period of Lent. And we can think about how we can draw closer to God in this time, as Jesus did when he was in the wilderness. And as Bob said last week, it's not necessarily always about giving something up, although a period of fasting in a variety of different ways, not just giving up foods and things, but also taking time to do different things, can be a real blessing during Lent. But as Bob says, sometimes it's a period to start something new. And as I was reading, another Christian writer had written, it's just about taking time to centre our lives again on what is important. And of course, that was what Jesus was pointing out to Mary in Luke chapter 10 as well. And if you've been following our Catching the Wave prayer booklet, you'll have seen that this week has been entitled Priorities. It's about thinking about what is important and about taking the time to make prayer and drawing close to God and spending time in his presence and enjoying his word, making that a priority. And can we do that this Lent time? And in fact, can we do it every day? Can we draw close to him? It's amazing during lockdown how we've managed to find so many jobs to keep us busy that maybe still keep us away from God. Even sometimes doing what we might call God's work can keep us away from actually having a personal time of enjoyment with him in his presence. As it says in Psalm 46, verse 10, be still and know that I am God. And I have to say, sometimes I struggle with those first two words, be still. There's just always so many things that could be done or need done, isn't there? But it is so important to take that time to be still. And in this period of Lent, I hope that we will all take the time to do that. And I just also was reflecting back to March of last year. The 13th of March, we were away on the Youth Fellowship weekend. It was, in fact, the last thing that most of us would do before lockdown. And we didn't realise it at the time. But there was a song that had become really important that weekend. And as the weekend went on and things started to become clear that maybe things weren't going to be just the same in the next few weeks, the song became even more important. It was called Lord, I Need You by Matt Mayer. And I would encourage you to have a listen to that song after you've maybe had this thought for the week this morning. And the first couple of lines of that song really spoke to me then and still do now. And it's still something that I need to work on. It says, Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. And I know in this Lent season, I need to confess to God that I can be quite a Martha, that I can find many other things to fill my time, and that I need to confess that to God, and I need to rest in Him and ensure that I am making His word and time with Him and enjoying prayer with Him my priority in this season of Lent and right throughout the year. Because as we've seen in these times, it is God that becomes so important. And so it is so important that we take time to enjoy His company, His presence, and to just have fellowship and time with Him. And to find ways, of course, of engaging with others as well, and sharing thoughts with each other and praying for each other as well. But let's all try this Lent season to be Mary's, and let's try to just sit at His feet and enjoy His presence and make sure His word is our priority.